Just a Stats, Reggie Johnson, Eugene Warren, coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And Eugene, it was a subject I hate to talk about here, only because there are some players. We're going to talk about a few players here, and welcome to our YouTube channel for those who are watching on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you may be watching or listening on our podcast here. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you may be listening. Thank you for doing so. And this subject pains me here because it got my guy KD front and center for those who can't see. And we'll go through some of these stats for our podcast audience. But KD front and center here, man, and he's one of my favorite players. So I really hate to do this, but I have to do it because I think it's becoming a question when you see how much is being traded for players, and when you're looking at the results. Right? Ultimately, it's a result-based business, Eugene. Right? Wins and losses. That's what we're interested in. We're interested in wins and losses here, man. We're not interested in just trading guys just to have guys. So we're going to talk about how much is too much for an NBA superstar. And then we're going to be started with the Kevin Durant one. But I do have to give Kyrie some honorable mention in here. I wanted to include Kyrie in this list, but I can't include Kyrie because you can argue that Dallas's big mistake was trading Jalen Brunson, and Kyrie didn't have anything to do with that.
Correct.
Like, Kyrie, in my opinion, was just trying to make that better. Like, it was a situation where you're just trying to make the fact that you let Jalen Brunson walk out the door better. You end up having to get a Kyrie. So maybe they reach, and their record was, I think, worse when they got him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after they got him. But at the same time, can you say that's Kyrie's fault? He averaged 27, 28 a game. I mean, I can't say it's his fault. So we'll leave Kyrie out of it for now. We'll go to just talking about KD in specifics here. Because, at the time, I remember thinking it was a haul, man. I was like, man, this is a haul for a player. Yeah. But at the same time, you're looking at a player that is a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? We got a first ballot Hall of Famer player with this guy. So what else are they going to trade for him? I mean, or what else can you get for a player that is a Hall of Fame player that has also got years left on his contract, right? So what else will that fetch? Well, we have the stats up here. Let's go full screen. Let's go full screen here for our YouTube audience here. And we'll talk through this for our podcast audience. So Kevin Durant, when he was traded to the Suns, they received KD and TJ Warren. TJ Warren's a serviceable player, right? I mean,
yeah, he's not bad. Not bad.
Serviceable guy. The Nets got back Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, who just signed a $100 million contract, by the way.
Yep.
Juan Pablo Valet. I'm pretty sure I just butchered his name. I'm not sure who that guy is.
I think you nailed it, actually. I think you got it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. 2023 first round pick from Phoenix, 2025 first round pick from Phoenix, 2027 first round pick from Phoenix, 2028 first round pick swap from Phoenix, a 2028 second round pick from Milwaukee, a 2029 first round pick from Phoenix, and a 2029 second round pick from Milwaukee. NBA also sent Jay Crowder to Milwaukee in this same trade as well. So they were able to get some more stuff done there. So let's count that up real quick, right? And I am going to count TJ Warren, but this is basically a Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah.
Right? So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, right? Because you got a first round pick swap, so maybe 9 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9 players because you got a pick swap in there. So they're not exactly giving that up all the way, but here we are, though. We're at 9 players for Kevin Durant. Now, we'll go pros and cons here. Okay? The pros is you got Kevin Durant, first ballot Hall of Famer, right? Give you
Top
30 in his
NBA
sleep.
player.
Top 75 guy. So it's and you know what? It's funny about this trade because hindsight is 2020, and I didn't like the fact that I told you Mikal Bridges. And he would have had to be included in this, by the way. There's nothing Phoenix could have done. I'm pretty sure they would have kept him. Mikal Bridges, I told you the fact that how much he played for or how much he played. He played a lot. And it was interesting to see him be traded and the Suns get worse from a bench standpoint, from a secondary standpoint, right?
Right.
Because you thought that's what you thought. I never looked at Mikal Bridges as being one of the big three. If you were going to say the big three was Aiden or Booker, CP3, and Aiden, if you want to include Aiden in the big three, big 2.5, I should say.
Yeah.
But I didn't think Mikal was a part of that, but Mikal and Cam were definitely a part of the bench, right? Which you saw a glaring hole in this year's finals. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and then you saw what he did in Brooklyn this year. So he became a legit, a star, right, in Brooklyn. So yeah, and we've talked ad nauseum about the Cam Johnson. That's one we're just scratching our head. I mean, why do I have to include Cam Johnson with all those other picks? And look at those pick swaps could come to hunt them down the road, because they can't, because of what happens, because their ability has been all three of their guys is that they're stars, right? Him,
Right.
Durant, Beal have all. Booker and Beal have all had health issues the last couple of years, especially Durant these last 2 years. So, yeah, it's and they did pick up a lot of free agents, but they didn't really help themselves on defensive side of the ball. Now, we know this. We know teams that have their lineups, have their roster set in, now can change in February. We know that, but right out of the gate, they got a bunch of 3-point shooters, so they just don't have a lot of defensive players, and they're going to rely on Durant to be that defensive guy. And that's a lot to ask.
It is, because it's not his MO, man. It's not what he has been. It's and look at where he's at in his career. I'm already a Hall of Famer, bro. I've already got chips.
Got 2 chips.
I'm not changing, right?
Right.
I can be coached up. It's the difference between being coached up and changing somebody's game totally, right? So I don't ever get the impression that he doesn't want to be coached up. I think a lot of the better players don't mind being coached hard because they're better. They have natural talent. They can be coached harder than a lot of these other guys who don't have that natural talent to pull from. And I'm also going to bring up the fact that their record for the podcast audience here. Suns 2022 record before Durant, 64-18. Suns 2023 record, 45-37. Now, in Kevin Durant's defense, he came at the end of the season. This record probably would have been much better if he got there much earlier. But how do we know? I mean, I guess that depth really counted, right? It's something that really they sorely missed when they were in the playoffs, when they're making that playoff run. But they were great with him when he got there. I think they were like 8-0 or something like that. He played very few games with them, but they were winning all the games he played.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, who knows how this trade really really turns out. But I will say that when you are looking around and trying to make a trade for your team, you have to worry, at least be concerned about how much it guts your team. To try to get that player. And to see if ultimately, if it does not lead to more wins than you had previously, is it a good trade? I will let the audience, I'm not going to make my mind up for the audience here. We'll let the audience decide if this is a trade they feel is worth it or not. But at the same time, I think it's a trade that most NBA teams would have made. Now, to a trade I don't think most NBA teams would have made. This is Rudy Gobert. Now, Rudy Gobert, they got a haul. Shout out to Danny Ainge, man.
Danny Ainge,
man, doing it again, man. Always doing it, right? Like, and that's shout out to Danny here. Now, when you're looking at what they got, and this is quite a haul. The Jazz, so Timberwolves received Rudy Gobert. Jazz received Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Leandro Bolmaro, I don't know, Bolmaro, Walker Kessler, who turned out to be a pretty good player. I think that was like their pick. I want to say maybe that was the Timberwolves pick that year. I'm not sure, but he's turned out to be a guy though. Jared Vanderbilt, who I think is in LA right now.
Yeah, he's in LA,
and Malik's also there, right? Malik Beasley was there anyway. I'm not sure if he's on a different team now.
Yeah.
2023 first round, 2025 first round, 2026 pick swap, 2027 first round, 2029 first round. So let's look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players for Rudy Gobert. Didn't we just say that for Kevin Durant? You can't say the same thing for those two guys, right? If I say the amount of players that was traded for Kevin Durant and the amount of players that was traded for Rudy Gobert, there should be some distance there of like at least 2 to 3 players, right? Maybe 5, 6 players for Rudy, maybe 6 players. I don't think that's wrong. There's anything wrong with that.